Hi everyone, Glenda here, and I decided to actually share a story with you today, and the reason being is I was treating a client last week, and I started telling her this story, and I really got this, I started telling her this story, and it really came through to me that this story needs to be shared. It's not something I've shared with a lot of people. It's a little bit of a crazy story. and also I think there's part of me that wanted to, I don't know, somehow protect the sacredness of it for me and the people involved, but I certainly won't be using any names. And I thought that I was actually going to write a blog post about it. That was sort of my initial intention, but each time I sat down to write about it, I was like, no. You got to get on and you got to tell the story yourself. So, so the story starts about, I think it's about 10 years ago now, or even a little bit more than that. And I was at, I don't know really what to call it. It's a retreat. It was a 5-day event with a company that really, was about personal and spiritual evolution. And at this particular event, it was really about facing our fears. And each day we were divided into groups, and each day sort of had a different theme to it. And on one of the days, it was the water theme. And the activity to face our fears was whitewater rafting. Now, you could see that for someone who doesn't like water, who isn't comfortable in the water, or certainly in rapids, that could be a bit of a nerve-wracking experience. Hey, Maddie, good to see you. Hey, Crystal. And but for me, I grew up swimming in the Ottawa River. I took my swim lessons in the Ottawa River. I even worked at a whitewater rafting company for several summers on the beach and kayaking and, being on the rapids as well. So for me, it was actually a bit of a comfort zone being in the raft. So I thought, okay, well, maybe today is not my day to face my fears at all. And I'll just go and I'll enjoy the rafting because I love it. So we're going along and it was a great day. And then we stopped at some point and they said, have a look at the side. There's 2 cliffs there. And one was smaller, like one was a shorter jump than the other. And they said, yeah, you're going to go jump off those cliffs. We're going to pull the boats over and you're going to climb up. Now, water is not a fear for me. However, heights, on the other hand, is, yeah, it is a thing for me. So they said, okay, everyone jump off the smaller cliff, and then you get to choose whether you are going to go off the bigger one or not. So, climbed up, jumped off the smaller cliff, and I landed in the water, and I knew right away. I was like, yeah, Glenda, you're going off the big cliff. This is all about facing your fears, so you need to go. So sure enough, I start making my way up, and as I'm getting closer to the jumping off point, my legs are starting to get shaky, and my palms are getting sweaty, and my heart rate definitely pumping, definitely in fight or flight, and I knew that as I was getting closer, that I was going to have to count to 3 and jump. And if I didn't jump on that count of 3, then I likely wasn't going to do it. So I literally was willing my way to the edge of this cliff and counted to 3. And I remember distinctly looking off and seeing the trees and the blue sky on the other side. And anyway, counted to 3 and I jumped and landed in the water, resurfaced, and I didn't feel the way I thought I would. I wasn't, it was kind of anticlimactic. And I thought, well, this is kind of strange. And, I thought I'd feel maybe even euphoric. And it was like, not at all. And so I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And I spent the rest of the day, rest of the rafting trip, kind of just, I guess, reflecting. And at the end of each of the days, you get together and almost like a debrief, right? And you talk about your experience and share some of the things you realized or, that had come up for you. And what I shared with the group was, what I realized was that, yes, I had jumped off the cliff, but I hadn't allowed myself to fully feel the fear. I definitely had a fear response, but it was very much like a shoving to the side. It was like, no, over here. And I'm just going to will myself off and go. So there was this way that it wasn't like the full experience for me. I didn't allow myself to fully feel the fear and let it in and have that experience. So what I said was, I really hope tomorrow I have the opportunity to really feel the fear and embrace it and, have that type of experience. And a couple of the facilitators, they looked at each other and smiled and they said, yeah, we think you might have that tomorrow. And here's the thing, like you don't know what's happening the next day. It's all kind of, quiet and hush-hush, and you don't know till you actually experience it. So the next day came, and we all went into kind of the main gathering building on the site, and there was a group of martial arts instructors there. And they spent, we went through some different exercises, and throughout this whole week, they were teaching us how to become like super present, right? Become really, really present in the moment and using your senses and really kind of gathering your power, right? Your energy, like in your body and in your heart. So not so much from like just a headspace. So, that had been going on all week. And they took us through a couple of exercises where we used that again. And then there's like a little stage at the front, and a couple of the main instructor got up on the stage with another instructor to demonstrate. He said, so now what you're going to do is you're going to get in groups of 3, and one of you is going to put your hands around one of the other people's necks, and you are going to choke them until they pass out. And then the third person will be behind to catch that person when they are unconscious. Yeah. And then he demonstrated it, right? So he did it with these other instructors and they taught us how to choke like in a way that's not going to hurt one another. I know this sounds really crazy, but there's a way that you can actually choke someone around the neck without really damaging their neck. And so they were going over all of this and then demonstrating, and the guy passing out and catching him. And I am dying. Like, I am sitting there going, you have got to be kidding me. My hands literally would be sweaty, and then I'd wipe them off, and not like 2 seconds later, they're sweaty again. And so I'm watching this and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Somehow I managed to get myself together enough we got into our groups of 3, and I knew that I had to go first. I knew I had to be the first person that was going to get choked. And so, so we started, and I remember the day before when I had said, you know what, I really want the opportunity to really feel this fear, to really, really embrace it. And so that's what I did. And I used all those tools that I'd learned to bring myself really present, to bring myself into my heart space, and felt it all. It's like I opened up. I even had my arms out to the side, opening the front of my body. And so anyway, the friend started to choke me. And in addition to choking the person, you're also supposed to hurl obscenities at them, right? Like try to bring them down and not make them feel really horrible. And so, so I'm hands around my neck and I'm being throwing all these things at me. And she is trying her hardest to choke me. And it was in that moment that all of a sudden, tears just started pouring down my face. And it wasn't because I was sad. It was I was feeling so much love. Like, it was crazy. It was like an explosion went off in my chest. And my heart was so incredibly open. And so again, tears streaming down. And then I start to laugh. And that's something that happens. I know that's something that happens for me when I am so like incredibly heart wide open, is I laugh. And so I started laughing. And then, you know, I'm present, everything's going on, but I'm also very present what's going on inside of me. And then I see one of the instructors come along, and he sort of pushes her out the way and grabs me by the neck. And he starts choking me. And again, I'm just like so incredibly open. And here's the thing, the fear was gone. It was non-existent. It wasn't there anymore. I just had this realization that nothing is more powerful than my love. Nothing can hurt me. And so again, you know, in this, and nothing happened. And then the head instructor sees what's going on. He comes over, he grabs me by the neck, and he's really like in my face and really calling me like every name in the book. And again, laughing, crying, heart wide open, no fear. And then he stopped, and he put his hands on my face, and he looked me right in the eye, and he said, "You got it." And it's tearing me up. My goodness. Yeah, it was just that moment of like understanding that, you know, when we open ourselves up to that much love, when we can open our hearts, it's not like I had to do anything to get rid of the fear. It's not like I had to fix it or, you know, mentalize it and move through it and all the things. It simply was me opening my heart and becoming so incredibly present. And the whole reason that I'm sharing this story for you is because that is, you know, that's the name of the game right now. It's our love can transmute fear. And, you know, I really feel like that is what I'm here to do and what a lot of us are here to do. And so, yeah, I just want to tell you that crazy story because it's so important that we really start leading with our hearts and we start leading with love. And I'm not talking about flowery, you know, there's all different facets of love. There's fierce love, right? Like so incredibly powerful. And then there's celebratory love, and there's a softness, but then there's also like fierceness, and it's hard to explain, but it is the most powerful thing on the planet. And so I wanted to share that experience with you because I have experienced it firsthand, and I know it to be true. And you know, I've put together or created a Facebook group where this is kind of what we're about. We're about deciding that, you know what, we don't want to live our lives based on fear anymore, from lack. We don't want the ego running the show, that we're interested in coming home to our hearts and living from that place. And what does that look like? You know, I always remember when I first heard, just open your heart and you'll be, you know, I'm like, well, what is that? You know, like, what is that? And it really is this, when you're not used to it, when you're used to operating in stress mode, if you're used to operating with worry and carrying responsibility for absolutely everything and trying to juggle all the balls. And, you know, that was me. And it took a real toll on my health and on my body. You know, I've had 5 melanomas now. You know, it's like, how many times do I have to, you know, get hit upside the head to know, Glenda, that is not the way. That is not the way. You're stressing your body to the point of disease. And so, you know, this group that I've created is about not that. It's about really coming home to our hearts and living from there, you know, and learning how to do that. So if that's something that interests you, you can comment below, and I can add you to the group or private message me. But just know that your love is more powerful than anything. And when you tap into it and you allow yourself to open that much, it's incredible what can happen. So much love to you all, and take good care. Mwah.